Hey guys, I hope you guys are doing good and welcome to today's video. So today we are going to talk about how your Docker is getting hacked. Okay, so there are 10 points that I have curated for you. You have to go ahead with each point and that will help you to understand the security layer of the Docker. So please do watch this video completely so that you will get a complete idea about the security layer of the Docker. So if you missed any one of the point, you may lose something and your Docker will get hacked automatically. So without wasting any time, just get into the video. So the first point we're talking about is unsecured Docker registry. So Docker registry is something like Docker Hub. And too many things are there, right? Amazon do have certain Docker registry. Google has certain Docker registry. So they are all just what you can say, like they are highly secured Docker registry. There are certain Docker registry which is existing in the market that are not secured. Okay, so that's what I'm going to talk about. So Docker images are usually hosted on the Docker registry. If registry is not properly secured, and attackers can easily access it and inject the malicious code into the images. So use authentication methods such as tokens, certificate, and enable secure communication protocol like HTTPS. Weak Docker image security. Okay, so developers may overlook the security measures when building a Docker images, which leaves them vulnerable to attack. Use security scanning tools to check for vulnerability in the images. Implement security best practice such as minimizing the attack surface, avoiding a hard-coded credentials, and using a latest version of the software. Insufficient host security. If the host operating system is not properly secured, attackers can exploit the vulnerabilities to gain the access to the Docker container running on the host. So this is so critical. You have to take a look. Implement strong access control on the host operating system. Apply regular security patches and updates, and use firewalls and intrusion detection methods. Okay, insecure Docker API. Okay, the Docker API allows you to interact with the Docker containers and images, and if not secured properly, it can expose the system to the attack. So, limited access to the Docker API, use secure communication protocols, and implement authentication and authorization measures, and all those things. Container breakouts. If attackers gain access to the Docker container, they can break out it and access to the host directly. Okay, so that is what you have to secure your images. You have to build a secure image only. So if something got broken there, they will directly land on your host. So once they have landed on the host, they can do whatever it can be. So use container isolation measures such as namespace, C groups, and implement access control to restrict access to the host systems. Okay. Insecure network configuration. This is also one of the main reason that your Docker is getting hacked automatically. The Docker container rely on networking, okay, to communicate with other containers and the host and the host in the containers, which is something like that. If network is not secured properly, attackers can exploit it to gain access to the system. What exactly trying to say is like access control list. So what request has to come, what request has to go, so on what port, that's the main matter. What is an inbound connection, what is an outbound connection, all those things. Use secure communication protocols, so basically like TLS and certificates and all those things, and limit access to the network. Okay, and use network segmentation to isolate the container from the other servers. Basically like host has separate network region and the containers has a separate network region, so those should not get collied actually. And on top of that, it has some security measures as well. Basically it should have some ACLs and all those things has to get protected. Unsecured third party images. Developers may use third party Docker images that are not properly secured, which can expose to the system to attack. So that's the main thing usually gets happen. So use trusted source of third party images, scan for vulnerability, implement best security practice when building an images. Okay, inadequate monitoring. So monitoring is something like it's very important. So what happens like whenever sudden CPU, sudden memory, sudden high number of requests, so these things can literally impact your Docker environment. If Docker environment is not properly monitored, it can be a difficult to detect and respond to the attacks. So sometimes like there will be a sudden surge, or could be someone could be deleting something on the host, or they will be deleting the Docker images. those things, nasty things, they will happen, right? So we have to implement the monitoring and logging solutions to detect the anomalous behavior. Who is coming, what is the request, from where the request is coming, who is accessing it, all those things you have to monitor it. Like one did it suddenly, like if we get something very different access from the different region, that could be causing a main issue. Establish incident response and procedures. Okay. Lack of training and awareness. Developers and operators may not be aware of security best practice when it comes to the Docker. So most of the DevOps engineers and all those people, developers, they learn Docker. So they know how is Docker. They know how to build an image. They know what's the command. All those things. So basically, like they don't check out the security part of the Docker actually. So they just learn only the half of the book, and they will miss on this particular layer, and they will get impacted very badly. So provide training awareness on the Docker security best practice. Ensure that the developers and operators follow them. Okay, poorly designed Docker infrastructure. A poorly designed Docker infrastructure can leave the system vulnerable to attack. So, what exactly it's saying is like your network has to be very, very secure, and your system has to be in proper place. It should not be in public region. It has to be in private region. So, like no one should have to access only from the public. The only the proxy has to access your network. So those things that's there, right? You have to design it carefully. If you don't design it carefully, it will be an impact. So follow the best practice of the designing Docker infrastructure, such as multi-layer of defense, implementing least privileges, conducting a general regular audits, and all those things. Okay. And that's all I have, guys. I hope you might have enjoyed this particular lecture. We'll see you on another good lecture. And please do subscribe, hit the like button if you like it. So it will encourage me to provide a lot of good contents. And do subscribe it. Thank you so much. Bye bye.